welcome. This is Cara Brandon, and today we are continuing with our September Stashbuster week. And today I'm using a paper pad, and I'm going to make 3 different types of junk journal embellishments. I'm using the Tim Holtz Wallflower, I'll have to double check that, but the Wallflower paper pad, and in the back of the Tim Holtz papers, there's 6x6 papers, 3x4s, and I think 3x3s. So I'm going to use a couple of those pages to make 3 different embellishments. The first one, I'm using the 6x6 papers, and I just cut them out of the paper pad. And then right here, I'm rounding the corners. So with these, I'm going to make mini little journals that you can tuck into a larger journal. And so now I'm cutting down my coffee dyed paper, and my journals are 3x6. So then my papers I cut down to about 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 so that they don't go beyond the actual paper. And then because I rounded the corners of the paper, or the cardstock, I'm also going to round the corners of my paper. And then you could do your typical journal binding, but for this I just used a stapler and quickly just stapled 3 staples, and then basically here my little mini journal is done. You can embellish it, you could do stamps or stencils. I just decided for now I'm just going to add a little bit of washi tape that I felt kind of went with it. There's mushrooms and different plants, so I just added a couple pieces of washi tape throughout the journal. And you'll see I made quite a few. I think I made the 4 that are right there in a pretty short amount of time. So these are a great way to use up your stash. And if you have cutoffs of different coffee dyed papers or different papers, you wouldn't have to use coffee dyed. It would be a fun thing to actually add to different journals. So there we go. There's my 4. And so now I'm going to use the 3x4 cut aparts, and I'm going to cut down and make a cut through the whole strip. So I have 1 strip of 3x4s. And then I'm going to cut the next one. So I'm actually going to make 3 of these. I think I only do 1 on camera though. And what I'm going to do is make kind of a mini journal or a mini folio, however you kind of want to, whatever name we want to give it. So I'm just folding it, and I fold them a little bit different for each one, but you'll see how right there I'm kind of showing there's going to be a cover, and then it flips, and then it flips again. And then the cool thing is you can actually turn it over and see both sides. So I'm using the cutoffs from my cutoffs. So I'm using the coffee dyed papers that I cut off from the first project, and I'm going to add them to this project, and it's going to be a even smaller mini journal. And this time I don't think I round the corners. I just have them, and you'll notice I kind of overlapped them because they were a little bit small for the page. And then that way it kind of makes it more, not really more interactive, but kind of a fun, different interaction. And here I'm taking a scrap, and I'm going to make a pocket on this back section. And it's nice that these papers are double-sided so that you really don't have to do too much. And so then I'm adding some ephemera to the pockets. And it's Tim Holtz paper, so it's gorgeous, just as it is. And then I'm adding a couple of flower pieces that I have from my Tim Holtz stash. And then I'm going to make a cluster. And so this is another fun thing that you could add into a journal. And then it would be really fun to write in it and add some photographs of a different event, or you could even use it as a gift card holder. That'd be fun too, for a fun crafty friend. And then this one I kind of made like a field note kind of feel. So I have a butterfly and then different field note pieces. So it looks like you're flipping through and you have been collecting butterflies and different things. and it can go into your journal. Looks like I'm having a hard time deciding what I want to use. So I pull out some of my lace to give it a different texture, and I'm going to add some lace to the top of the next page. One of these is a great way to not only use your stash and create little mini folders and use your stash with the paper, but also if you have little bits and pieces of fabric or lace, it's also a great way to do some stash busting. So then I got my stamps, my favorite field notes stamps, and I'm just going to do a little bit of stamping throughout the little mini book, mini folio, I don't know what we want to call it. And here I have, it's a 1-inch circle, it's a wood piece, and I kind of tapped it on top of my vintage photo distress ink to make it a little brown. And then I'm adding some pieces of small ephemera, and then I'm putting a brad through it so that it kind of moves around. And then on the back side, I'm going to add the washi tape so that it doesn't snag on your finger or in the journal. Just another fun element that moves and has a different texture. So I'm covering it up with some ephemera, so just in case if the washi tape came up, this will help secure it down. And then add another stamp. So here's the front, and then the different pages, and then you flip to the back, and we're going to decorate some of the pages on the back. I just love how it's a double-sided little journal. Here I have some vintage photo dyed cheesecloth. No, this isn't cheesecloth. It's the stuff that you can get from Dollar Tree. And I added some of that for texture, and then a Tim Holtz flower. And I'm just going to paper clip that piece of ephemera here, making sure I've decorated the different pieces of the little journal. All right, so now we're moving on to the 3x3 cutoffs, and I've cut a couple of the 3x3 squares out. And for this, we're going to make a hidden paper clip. So I'm going to tear, so I folded the 3x3 in half, and then I'm going to tear around the edge to make it a rough edge. And then I will ink up my edge. And then I'm also going to do the same thing for this piece of coffee dyed paper. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the scrapbook paper, but I'm also going to tear around the outside to give it a rough edge. You could use a punch, you could use a die, but for this I just wanted it to be kind of organic and not really perfect. So here I'm inking up the edges. And having the two pieces of paper is what will hide the paper clip and also make it so the paper clip doesn't snag on your papers. So I'm deciding which way is to the front. And I want some of that coffee dyed paper to show through, so I'm folding it so that you can kind of see it peek through. And then I'm going to get out my paper clip. And then I put my paper clip under, there we go. Yep, paper clip on top of my scrapbook paper, and then I'm going to glue all around. And it does help having something under your paper clip because then you can hold it. And then we take our scrapbook paper and let it dry, and then I'm going to embellish the front of the paper clip. Not really the paper clip, but the front of our little cluster. And then again, you can do both sides so that you can see it on your book page on either side. And then the cool thing is it just slides on just like that. So here are the 3 different types of embellishments using scrapbook pages, the 3x3 or 3x4 journals. I made a couple off camera with my little wooden peas, and then the little mini journals, and then the little embellishments with the paper clip. So fun. I hope you come back tomorrow for our next stash busting segment for Stash Busting Week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.